people! Hello! It's Randy for Thunderhorse Descendant. Hi! Oh, a little bit late, but whatever. The show must go on. Here we are on a Tuesday. Coffee is required. Good morning. Hi, Rosanna. Hi, Lois. Good morning, PK. Hi, Ginny. Nancy. Hi, Lori. Hi, Coral. Hi, PK. Be sure to hit the like button. Thank you. Hi, Patty. Oh, you guys. How's everybody doing today? If you are new here, welcome in. I am Randy for Thunderhorse Descendant. We're going to do stuff today. We're going to do stuff eventually. Good morning. That is a beautiful necklace. Thank you. It's made out of deer antlers. Deer antlers and one big chunk of quartz as a focal. I love that for me. I love it for me. This is I have another one that I wear that everybody always compliments me on when I wear it. It's a big chunky one. It's made out of bone and stuff. Hi, Bixby. Put my phone on Do Not Disturb. She didn't answer. She didn't answer. Okay. So, this is bothering me. As I keep pulling back. What is the deal? Okay. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Diane. Hello. Yeah, so here we go. This is why I'm late. Me and Shadow were talking about the craft show circuit. You know how that goes. So, I have a craft show on April 1st, which is, why does my calendar say May? I'm looking, I'm like, oh, when is that? And I'm like, May. It says May because that's how I hung it up there, I guess. So my calendar's on May 2023, whatever. But anyway, we were discussing this morning about some of the things that we got to consider when we're getting ready to do craft shows. So I got this email yesterday from this lady who's invited me to go to, she's like a promoter, you know, like a show promoter, you know what I'm talking about? Like the promoting companies. Do you guys have promoting companies where you are? This freaking thing is bothering me today. I gotta get it together. There. Good morning. I have one on April 1st also. At least the calendar is on the right year. That's what I was thinking, PK. I'm like, okay. The other day I wrote a check. I wrote 2021. So anyway, so I don't know if you guys have promoters where you are, like craft show promoters or promoting companies where you are. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll try like a company, and you guys have seen me do this. Like I'll go to a show where that company is promoting a show, right? Like just go as not as a vendor, just as a customer. And I'll go, and then if I like what I see when I vet the show, because I look and I see like how many people are there, did they have advertising up on the road, did they have advertising on Facebook, did they have advertising, like where else was the advertising? Maybe they had flyers, or maybe they had email lists or something, you know, that kind of thing. So, because here's the deal, and I'm gonna be honest with you, you gotta really try hard to get information to me. I know it seems weird because I'm on the internet all the time, but here's the thing, even like with my family, they're like, well, we tried to call you. I'm like, yeah, my phone's always on silent because I'm always on the internet. I just shut Bixby off. You heard me. My phone's always on silent. Don't go backwards. So my phone's always on silent, and I'm always doing stuff, so I'm always like busy. That's why we got Shannon a phone. So Shannon keeps track of some of the busyness for us. Like she does some of the customer service stuff. She was doing those this morning. And I'm doing other things, and then she'll be like, oh, so-and-so said this, or so-and-so wants that, or so-and-so called about this. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, tell them this, that, and the other thing, and then we'll get it ready. You know, it's like a whole thing. But you really got to try hard to get information to me. I don't watch the news. We don't have TV. Like, we have a TV, but, like, we don't have, like normal TV. We have, like, Hulu, you know? And I think there's an option where you can watch the news on Hulu, but me and Jeff is in charge of keeping up on current events in case it's dangerous. I'm like, I do not have brain space for that. I don't want to be bothered. I don't care. If something happens, Jeff will let me know. So that kind of started like a couple of years ago, and everybody knows why, but I'm just like, no. So if you're going to advertise a craft show, right, you're going to have to put it on Facebook for me to see it. You're going to have a flyer in the gas station. You're going to have a sign on the road. And I'm like, oh, hey, there's a craft show. You're going to have like something, like send it to my email. I'm always in my email. That's why we do email marketing. FYI, if you are selling things, don't do all this. My opinions allegedly. My opinions allegedly. Most people, from the research that I've done, yes, they see things on Facebook. They see things on Instagram. They see things on social media. Fine, right? Not saying that it's not worth doing. But people generally always, at some point, will check their email because everybody's emailing, right? And it's less intrusive. Because a person will see something on Facebook and they'll go, oh, that's cool, and they'll scroll by because there's 800 things going on the Facebook. But if you have someone's email, they've already said, hey, we like you. We would like to know more about you. We would like you to email me, send me a letter when you're having a sale, when you're doing something, when you're whatever. Like they've already been like, sure, send it to the house. So email marketing, like yeah. If you send an email, I'll get it. Absolutely, 100%. Just saying. Also, social media, if you did not know this, if you are a seller and you're trying to do things on you're trying to advertise, you all know I will not pay for advertising. But if you are advertising, a reason that I don't like to pay for it is, number one, social media, like Facebook and them, they have guidelines that they've since changed, and you have to keep up with these guidelines all the time. Otherwise, you don't know what's going on. But anyway, if you have a business profile, if you're a business, so if, like Thunderhorse Descendant is going to put a post, it'll do a little recommendation. It'll say, would you like to boost this post for $5 or for $10 or for $300 or whatever? And then you can pick like your demographic and your whatever. But here's the thing. It only shows that post to 16% of the people who've already subscribed to your channel. The people who said, yes, we like you. We'd like to know more about you. Your subscribers, that's what Facebook does. They only share it to 16%. And then they want to charge you to share it to all the people who already said that they liked you. That makes no sense. When I could send it in an email for free to everyone. Will they open the email? Maybe. Is the person who's scrolling by it on Facebook after I paid for it to be boosted, are they going to click on it? The click rates are low, usually. Has anyone ever heard of Whatnot app for live auctions? I met a lady that uses it and loves it. Is anyone? Whatnot. I have heard of the Whatnot app. Anyways, moral of the story is that I'm getting ready to do these shows, and I was talking with Shannon, and I was just like, I don't know, man. This lady, she messaged me. She wants me to go to these shows. Let me show you the list. Here's the list. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 shows. And then, in addition, this is the crafters market and flea market things. This is in addition to. Okay, and they got these additional weekends, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional weekends in Stillwater. So that's 5 and 3, that's 18 shows. This is for one company. So here's what I'm saying, is if you find a company, if you find a company, the name of this company is RSG Development and Promotion. So these people promote craft shows. If you didn't know about this, you can, what I suggest you do is if you're looking for craft shows and you don't know how to find them, go to Google and put in craft show near me, just a craft show. All these things are going to pop up on Google where they're having craft shows, right? So these are craft shows that are already happening. You click one, when you scroll through it or wherever it takes you, maybe it takes you to Facebook, maybe it takes you to a website or something, it's going to say the name of the company if there's a promoting company. It'll say like RSG Development Promotions presents blah, blah, blah craft show at this day and this day. And then once you find out the name of the promotion company, get the name, Google the name of the promotion company, craft shows in your city or like near your city or whatever. And then you're probably going to end up at their website where it's going to give you all of this information. So this lady, if it doesn't give you the information, you have the name of the craft show, find out who the owner is. Everybody has Google. Google it, email them. So that's how email. I emailed this lady because they did not have like sign up online stuff. You notice this is paper. And I emailed her and I was like, hey, I'm trying to sign up for this Forest Lake show that's like next week. And I know it's really short notice, but like, hey, what's going on? So she sends me this packet. And in this packet, in the email, she sent me all the information. She sent me all the links to their stuff. She sent me this list. It tells me the dates, the prices, the everything. Then she invited me to go to this flea market, craft market thing, which is all summer long, for $60 a weekend. Can I just say that is amazing? She sent me an operator's certificate and compliance form, which you probably can't see, but I need that for Minnesota. And then she sent me a tax form, like all the papers that they need for that stuff. And okay, so that's her. So that's her stuff. This is what she's got going on. So it's kind of an easy way, if you can get a hold of the promoter's information, to find out where all their shows are going to be. Then you can make your decisions based on that. Okay, then we move over to, what is this? This is Sunny Craft Fest. This one is, the promoter on this one is called Sunrise Events and Craft Shows. So you guys were around last year when I went to, remember I said I was doing research. Where did I go? I went to Mora. I said, oh, there's a craft show going on in Mora by this Sunrise Events craft place. I'm going to go check it out and see if it's good. So I went. It was good. There was lots of people, tons of people. There was tons of people, tons of crafters. There was food trucks. There was outside vendors, inside vendors. There was signage, all these things. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then I went on, and I when I walked in the door at this craft show, they had a table, first table, and it said Sunrise Craft Shows and Events. Take our card, talk to a promoter about what they do. They're putting on this event. So I grabbed a card, I came home, Googled it up. They have a whole website where they list all of the shows that they promote in Minnesota, right? So I picked the ones next to my house. This is nice because I can pay for them online, right? I can pay for them. It tells you when they're full. It tells you what the spaces are, how much it is, like what's the, all the information. How big are the spaces? So right here I bought, for $130, I bought 2 spaces. So they're actually $65 a piece, which is cheap because this one's at the fairgrounds. We did this show last year. Me and Jeff did. This is called Cambridge Sunny Craft Fest, and I bought an additional booth space. How do you know if you need to buy an additional booth space? Depends on how big your tent is. If it's going to be outside and you have to have a tent, if you're like me, I have a double space tent. My tent is 20 by 10 feet. So most booth spaces in Minnesota, okay, I don't know this for everybody. Good morning, I'm ranting. Hello, welcome in. Randy rants today about craft shows. Most of the booths out here are usually 10 by 10 feet. So if my tent is 20 by 10, that means I gotta buy 2 booth spaces. I could buy one single stall tent, which would probably be like $100. I originally bought my double space tent online when I very first started. I bought it on Labor Day, so it was on sale. I remember that because I was on the train coming home from Grandma's house. I think it was like $115. It was actually cheaper than buying a single one, which is why I think I bought it in the first place. But because I have that size of a tent, I have to buy 2 spaces. So instead of getting in on the show for $65, I have to pay $130. But that's fine because we got a lot of stuff. It tells me that I do not get any electricity. I did not purchase any. So on this website that I found, this Sunrise Events and Craft Shows for my area, they let you pick if you want inside, outside. They tell you how big the spaces are. They tell you if there's deals. Like, you know, sometimes there's deals if you go outside and you have an outside space. They'll give you, it's like less money. So that's always an option. So then, okay, whatever, I pay for this. And I just pay for it with my card. And this show is in June. It's in June. And so that's the one that I signed up for from them. But they have like them all listed and you click it and then it tells you all things. So that's one way to go. Then we have Carousel Craft Shows. Carousel Craft Shows is the first promoter people that I ever signed up with. When I very first started doing shows when I lived in the little apartment, I found this place on a Facebook group, and it's called Carousel Craft Shows, and they are promoters for craft shows. And they also, you go to their website, they have a list of all the shows they're promoting for the entire year. So it tells you how much it is, all the same things. You can sign up, pay for it online. You show up at the venue. These people give you papers to fill out, like your tax form. You got to bring that with you and your permit. But a lot of times it'll tell you on there, like, if you have to have insurance to go to these people's shows, like, it'll tell you what to bring, la-di-da. Okay, so once you sign up for these things, here's another cool thing. Again, back to the email marketing. Once you sign up for these things, these people will start to email you as the shows approach. This one was $158. This one is for October. No, Forest Lake Thanksgiving Craft Show 2023. 2 spaces, $158 for October. Hello. Sounds like a fairly professional setup. What are the fees like? So that one was $158. One I paid for. I got another one going out today, which is a handwritten one. That one's for Pine City, and that one was $100. So, but I have to buy 2 spaces if I'm going outside. If I do an inside show, I don't have to buy 2 spaces, but I generally do because we have a lot of stuff. It also depends on what my table setup is going to be for the inside. So a lot of times, I try to request a corner and do like a L-shaped table on the inside because I just like that setup. But we are going to change the way I'm doing the setup this year. We were talking about this yesterday, me and Jeff and Shannon. I have to get a double everything at the show. Yeah, it's fine. I'm just letting you guys know that these companies are out there. Most likely there's companies in your area, especially if you live in a bigger area. If you don't live in a bigger area, you live in a really small area and you don't plan to travel, a lot of times you can find in the penny saver, or the little paper, the community paper, they'll say, oh, we're having a craft show looking for vendors. You can find on Facebook, you know, they'll have like, you can look for groups that promote little craft shows that are not using promoters. But sometimes those are a little bit sketch. You have to be careful with those. You don't want to just be sending money all over to people, because there was a gal here on Facebook, because I did that. I was like, oh, what's going on Facebook craft shows? And I get into this group and I'm like, okay, what's this group and what are they doing? And I see that they are promoting these little shows, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm going through and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, not that date, not that price, whatever I'm doing. And I've come across this one and I'm like, oh, this is a fairly good price and I think I'm open that weekend. So I click it and then the comments drop down and there's all these people and they're like, do not order from this lady. And I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? So I look into it and it turns out she was saying they were going to do a craft show and then she was just taking everybody's money. And then they couldn't find her anymore on the internet because they just sent her money on the internet. And I'm just like, oh, sad. So you got to be careful when you're doing this. That's why I like to use the promoting companies, but I also like to use the promoting companies because they advertise the shows, because they're sending out information, because they'll send me information before the show starts. They're going to be like, here's a map of the venue, here's the stall you're in, here's the people who's going to be next to you, here's where you're supposed to park, here's the show times, all that stuff. They're organized. I am not the greatest at being organized. So I'm like, okay, this is good. I go there, it makes it less stressful. You bring your stuff, you set it up, everything's great. Church fundraiser shows? What did you do with your animals? They're all here. Buns is laying under there. Jake and Lily are laying over there. And Winter's over here eating dog food. She loves to eat Lily's dog food. I'm just like, why? My first show ever, I got ripped off. Lesson learned. Oh, sad. Yeah. I assume someone just took her money and didn't let her do anything. Frequently buy 2 spaces or request 2 sides open. Most places try to do that. Yeah, I decided I'm gonna do my table setup differently. We were talking about this. There's a lot of table setups and to everybody each their own, but my thanks, Rebecca. My experience from last year and stuff and things from past, what I find is that up here where I am, people want that table. They want you behind the table and them in front of the table. They're going to walk around, look at the stuff, and then they're going to go. They don't want to be coming into a space. I used to always set my tent up where you would the tables would be like a backwards U, so you could come into the space, make your little loop, and go on with your life, which I thought was a great setup. But last year, it's just like it's almost, for me, what I saw and experienced up here, which could be, if you're not in the Midwest, this is like a Midwest thing. Hi, baby, what are you doing? Oh, I thought you were Winter. You're not Winter, you're Mr. Bunsen. Mr. Bunsen. Are you cranky today? Are you cranky pants? You look kind of cranky pants. I'm just tired. Doesn't look happy. What are you doing? Get down. Come here, you. Are you bothering Mr. Bunsen, making him cranky? Gonna say hello to the peoples? Say hi, peoples. Say hi, peoples. Little Miss Winter. They're so small. She's so small. She's like so small and light. So I got stinky butt. Go wash your stinky butt. Go. Yeah, so anyways, like I was saying, before I was rudely distracted by cuteness, people struggle to come into a space, especially since everything that went on in 2020, blah, 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 about that. And so I decided I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it because although that would not be my, that wouldn't be my choice to have the table set up and it's like I'm here and you're there, even though that's not really my cup of tea. If that's what is helpful for the sales, then that's what I'm going to do. It also is not very aesthetically pleasing to me, but I feel like if I just did the U under the tent, basically I would be under the tent and they're going to have to go around the tent in the U shape. But I'm like, whatever, this is my tent. Oh, good job, Bunsen. Bunsen's going to give her a bath. Just smelly. Yeah. I used to do that also, but people tend to feel trapped when they come in, so I put mine so the tables are to the outside of me instead. Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do too, Rosanna, because it's just, I just noticed with people, with not all people, but like, you know, when you say hello to someone, you're like, oh, hi. You know, I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Randy. This is what I always say. Hi, I'm Randy. If you have any questions, I made all these things, handmade. Most are using, genuine gemstone, whatever. If you have questions, let me know. And some people will want to then talk to you. And some people are just like, I'm like, okay, let me know how it's going down there. But especially if you ask them to come in to the U, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but if you ask them to come into the space, then they feel trapped. Like Rosanna said, they feel like they may feel pressured to make a purchase if they come into the tent, which is weird, but it's a thing. It's like a psychological thing. So that's what I'm working on over here. Good morning. Hi, Donna. So anyways, that's what we were discussing this morning. We do this every year. Every year, I'm like, this year I'm going to be good at craft shows. Jefferson wants me to go on the, like, circuit, like, do all the things, you know? He's like, yeah, let's just do the things. And I'm like, okay. First of all, I need a van. I want to have a van. I found a guy in Sandy. He's got a van for $2,000. I was like, it's all rusted out. That's perfect. That's the kind of van I need. I need a van that runs good. The rest of it doesn't really matter because I'm going to tear all the seats out anyway. And then I can just keep my stuff in the van, you know? So then every weekend when we got to go, I can just go because, you know, I got a lot of stuff going on over here. I got the inspirational bead bundle, got the FOC, we're doing the live sale, we're going to TF for custom orders. Oh, all the custom orders are posted, by the way. I did get some stuff on the back phone, but I didn't get it till today. So sorry about that. So we're working on that. But anyway, all the custom orders are posted, and then making the YouTube videos. What else are we doing? Just all the things. I'm like, yeah, let's add going to a craft show every weekend. That's a lot. Not every weekend, but like even like one a month. That's a lot for me when I have to do all the things. But also, who's gonna let these dogs out? I'm gonna go to the show and I'm gone for 10 hours because, you know, I got 2 hours early for one hour for driving, 1 hour for setup, do the show, 1 hour for breakdown, 1 hour to stop and eat dinner on the way home. That's 10 hours. Here we are. Who's gonna watch these dogs and let them out? So Jeff was like, oh, you could ask your friend. And I'm like, yeah, I could. And I'm like, who's gonna help me if you have to go golfing? And he's like, well, you could ask Shannon. And I was like, you really think Shannon wants to go to a craft show on the weekend? Probably not. And he's like, well, you could ask a little girl to go with you, like some kid, or, you know, just to go. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. So it's like all the things. I think I will have to get some help though. I leave my stuff in the SUV. It is out. Well, yeah. I had Jefferson make those boards for me last year, those necklace boards. They were blue and they had little hooks on them. And so that's kind of nice because then you can just fill those up, wrap them, right? And they're ready to go. You got to make sure that what's on the board is what you want to sell at that show, which is what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to go through and make sure everything's, maybe I'll do a little video about it so you can see. Anyway, So I got to do that, make sure everything is priced, and make sure they're ready to go. And then I thought, well, then I have these boards, so I can only bring X amount of necklaces or whatever, right? And you fill in the spaces. So then when I come home, I can just fill up as many as I sold and just get it ready for the next one. No, Budson. Hi. Hello, welcome in. Good morning. I have a crat. What? A cat? A cat? A crafty cat? What's a crat? Craft show this weekend. Oh, yeah. The craft show season is starting. It's among us. I will say, if I wasn't on the opposite side of the country, I would help you for funsies. Well, yeah, all my friends too, like, all my friends work on the weekends, most of them, you know, and so that never works out, so I can't really, like, do that. And I was hoping maybe Jordan wanted to have a little summer job, but she's doing the skeet shooting. Bunsen, get off the printer. He's like, I'm just gonna lay on the printer. You're so naughty. Plus, the constant traveling is exhausting. Yeah, I generally try to do shows that are close to me. That's just, I know it's probably not like, that's just for my own sanity. It might not be like, they might not be the biggest shows or the best shows or the whatever, but I'm just like, if I can go down here to the fairgrounds or to Art Fest or maybe 20 minutes over to Pine City, great. If I have to drive 3 hours to get there, I'm just like, I am tired now. Now y'all have a reason to get prego, a little helper. Oh no. No. Me and Jefferson are done with that. Lily, what is it? I'm trying to talk to the people. You want to say good morning to them? Speak. Okay, that's enough. You're going to make somebody upset. She's like, what? I'm doing what you want. But anyway, so that's what happened. Randy, please explain your necklace. Oh, sorry. So this is made out of deer antlers, deer antler beads, and then it has trade bead silver in the in-between, and then a quartz down here on the focal. One side focally quartz. I generally do shows close to me, though I have 2 weekends of Renaissance Fair in Idaho I have to travel to. Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of shows like that. Well, one for sure. Like, we're going, well, every Father's Day we go to Annetta, North Dakota. But, I mean, we go there because that's where Jeff's from. But it's in North Dakota, so we go, you know. And then I've been in the show while we're there, and they do all the things. So it's like a traveling one, which is also, it's always problematic when you have to travel, especially since I don't have a van. I have to get a van. I'm going in the little car, right? So when we go to the show, this happens every year. We take all of our animals with us when we go to Annetta, right? So we got 2 dogs. Now we got 2 cats. We only used to have 1 cat. We got 2 dogs, 1 cat in the back seat. All the show inventory has to fit in the trunk. And then me and Jeff have like a plastic bag, like of clothes. Bunsen's got his litter box on the floor. But we got it. That's how we go. So I'm just like, whatever. Wow, that's cool. My dad used to make jewelry out of antlers and all the things. He was really good at it. Yeah. Yeah, it's antlers. Do you guys want to see it up close? We were going to do this project, but now I'm just like, why are we going to do this project? I don't know. So, just has a hook like this. And then these are all antlers that are made into beads. It's got the trade bead silver in the in-between. right here. And then it's got 1 quartz. Remember the big mama quartz that we were selling a while ago? And that's it. Easy peasy. Oh, you guys remember how I was telling you about how the big pearls, the pearls are coming in for the whatever? I was watching. What was I watching? It's on the phone. I was watching YouTube. And Pink, you know the singer Pink? If you don't, the singer Pink, you know. She came on, she's doing an interview. I really like her because she actually seems like a decent person. Anyways, and she had on Baroque pearls, you know, the big ones, as earrings. And then one as a necklace, and it looked like somebody took some kind of dye and like dripped it over the top of the one she had on her. So it was like just 1 pearl on a chain, and then they had dye on the top. I don't know if it was maybe alcohol ink or something, and they kind of dripped it on the top. It was pink, obviously pink, you know, and it looked really cool. But the earrings were just plain, but they were those huge, just 1 huge Baroque pearl on like these big gold hoops, and I was just like, yep, I'm gonna make some of those. It was like confirmation that I'm not crazy. I was like, those are coming in for this year. My sister and I did a show within a 250-mile radius. We go to the point of needing to held on Saturday setup. Then weather was a problem too. Are antlers for sale like that? Antlers are at Taylor's Falls if you want some. They're sold individually, and I think they're like kind of spendy. I think they're like $3 a bead or something to that effect. But they have them at TF. Whoa. Take 5 minutes to make it. Pink has earrings that are earbuds attached to a dangle. Yeah, I saw that too. I thought it was really cool. I don't have earbuds. I don't know. Can you only use earbuds with an iPhone? Is that like a thing? Anyway, I don't know. Okay. I just saw a deer. It was just like, yeah, I seen that she had those. They were like on hoops so that she didn't lose them, so she could just like put them in her ears, which I thought was a really cool idea. But I don't know that much about earbuds, so I don't know if that's like a thing or what. So anyway, so the reason we're talking about this to begin with, I was over the weekend, I was like, oh, I have a little time. I'm gonna make some pendants for the craft show, right? Because it's next week. And I was like, oh, cool. I'll make some pendants for the craft show. And I was like, oh, I'll video it for YouTube, right? Make a YouTube video. 2 birds, 1 stone. Cool. So I was sitting up here doing it because downstairs, Jeff was doing laundry. So I was up here doing the videoing. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And I'm doing all the things. And then I get like halfway through the video and my computer went to sleep. Like, you know how it goes to sleep and like the little bouncy ball comes on or whatever. And I was like, oh, so I push the button and then I look at it and I'm like, is everything still up? And I'm like, oh, okay. So I continue on making all the things. And then I get to the end and I'm like, oh, it wasn't recording that. So I was really mad because I made like 20 necklaces and I'm like, oh, and then I packaged them, right? Because I was going to show you guys how I package them up. And I was just like, oh. So I just went in at the end and said some stuff. And I was just like, oh, footage is bad. So whatever. So then today I was like, I'm just going to post it. I was like, I'm just going to post it anyways. I'm just going to post what I got. I'll just explain what happened. So that's what I did. So that's coming out this afternoon. But it's really funny because you can see where my computer goes to sleep and I'm like, what is happening? And then it like cuts to the end and it's like, none of this footage recorded. So anyway, got that going for me. share a little bit about this craft show stuff up here. I know it's really, like, when I first got into doing craft shows, I felt kind of like, how am I supposed to find these people? Like, why are these people not, like, out here with a list of what they're doing? And that, or I was like, my friends always seem to go to, like, really cool shows, like big shows, and I'm like, where do you find these shows? And they're like, oh, I don't know, I found it here or whatever. And so a lot of times I ask Diane, so, because she's been doing it a long time, and she gave me like a little list of places to look into for, like, there. She said there's like a good Christmas show in North Branch. So these are also like places that are nearby. So if you have some like friends that have been in the craft show world, like, they might have some references for you as well. A lot of the little towns around me also, FYI, if you go to their city events page, like their city of commerce, so we're in Minnesota, so, but there's like, it's like every 10 minutes there's like another little town. it's like drive, little town, drive 10 minutes, little town, drive 5 minutes, little town. And all these places have like city of commerce websites. So you go to like Pine City events or whatever, Google it, and it'll pop up a calendar of what their events are for their town. And a lot of times all the towns will have cancel. Bixby's always listening. A lot of times they'll have a calendar of their events, and a lot of these little towns have like days, you know, like days like Farmer John's days, or you know, like lutefisk eating days or whatever. Like, they have all those things, and so you can find out when they are. And then a lot of times on those city sites, they'll have the craft show signups for those events. Or it's like, if you want to go to the fair, those are always going to be on your county events page, because it'll be like, oh, the fair, and then it'll be like, do you want to vend at the fair? Go to this website or whatever. So I kind of figured that out when I started Googling stuff, and I was just like, because I'm like going to all these different places, and I'm just like, this is aggravating. And then once I got it figured out, I was like, okay. Craft shows are hard. Yeah. Craft shows are hard. Craft shows are hard. But just remember, if you do go to a craft show and you're not selling, if you're not like super busy, you know, you have to, even if you are busy, you're not really there to, I mean, you're there to sell stuff, that's great, but you're there to advertise your business, right? So it's a good opportunity to meet people in person, especially for me, since I'm an online seller. You know, you guys are around a lot, you know, and we talk every day, whatever, and so you kind of know me. But like, when I'm just meeting random people and I'm like, oh, hey, you know, like, I sell online, or if they just come across my website, they don't know anything about me unless they come over to the YouTube. And I'm like, oh, hey, go to the YouTube, or go to the here, or go to the website, or whatever. And so it's like an advertising opportunity to get people into the morning coffee, to get people on the email list, so I can email market them and be like, hey, I'm going to be over here on Saturday if you want to come over, you know, whatever. That kind of thing. So I don't know. When I first started doing shows, I went to some shows that are really slow, and I don't do very well with slow because I am antsy. And I get bored. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna shop. So I've been trying to be better about that. But I usually take that time to try to like read up on my rocks, my little rocks and stuff, or whatever. But yeah, so my advice for craft showing is just try to be advertising your business. Make sure you get everybody a card. I take Jefferson. He's my hype man. He's always like talks to the people, and he's like, oh, here, take a card. He's like, oh yeah, she's on YouTube. Like, he's a really good advertiser guy. Because sometimes I feel weird about it. I'm like, well, maybe you don't like me, and that's fine. So I always feel weird, like, here, take my card. Like, it's just, but Jeff does that for his job, so I guess he's good at it. I don't know. Talking about yourself is weird when you're at the craft show. I mean, not that it's weird, but I mean, it's like weird for me. But so I just bring this up because me and Jeff just had this conversation on the weekend with this gal. We went to a show and he was trying to talk to her about her soap. And she was talking about the soap, and then he was like, oh, well, like, you know, she was like, well, you make it and you do this, and then she stopped and she was like, well, that's getting a little bit like, it's I'm kind of a nerd, so it's kind of like, you know, I don't want to tell you about the whole process because it'll probably be boring, but Jeff wanted to know about the whole process. That's why he was asking about it. So then she wouldn't tell him because she obviously felt weird about talking about herself. So what I do is I talk about myself. I practice talking about myself before the show. I'll say like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm Randy and I have a YouTube channel where I teach people how to bead. Do you like beading? Or I say, hey, I'm Randy. This is Thunderhorse Descendant. I handmade everything here. I make all of these items, each item depending on how long, depending on what kind of item it is, takes, you know, an hour or so to make, depending on how much work goes into it. If you have any questions, let me know. Hey, you know, a lot of people always ask me about recovery because I have some like recovery jewelry in my show, like AA, NA, like little stamped pendants and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, are you in recovery? And then they want to talk about that, and I'm just like, yeah, because I just tell everybody that I'm in recovery. You don't have to if you don't want to. But yeah, like I'll just practice like the little taglines that I feel comfortable like saying about myself, so it's not weird when I get in front of somebody and I have to talk about myself, because it is kind of strange. Personality is the best seller, hands down. I have walked or bought just because of the person. In that respect, you are blessed. Thank you. I just think it's like interesting to you have to kind of try to like read the person. Like if the person wants to talk to you, you might as well talk to them, right? What else do you got to do? But if the person doesn't want to talk to you, it's like I always get in this weird, because you know how like people when they're like standoffish, you know, and they're like, oh, and then they're just like looking, and you're like, okay, clearly you don't want to be bothered, right? So you don't really want to like force a conversation that they don't want to have, but you also don't want to be like just ignoring them, because then, you know, I mean, that's kind of rude. So I'm just like, well, let me know if you need any help or if you have any questions about stones. I brought my book so we could look them up if you need help, or, you know, like whatever. But like, it's weird. Craft shows are hard. Also, bring cash. I went to the craft show over the weekend, and I did not bring any cash. None. Why? Because I don't carry cash. So I was like, oh, Jefferson had like $5. I guess I had like $3. That's not enough dollars. But I got to the craft show, and I thought it as we were driving past the Quick Trip, because at the Quick Trip you can use the ATM at no ATM fee. I don't know if you know that. They have Quick Trip where you are. Free ATM. So we were driving past, and I was like, we should stop and get some cash. But then we were already going, so I was just like, well, I'm sure they'll have like, you know, ways to pay, like on your PayPal or your Venmo or your whatever. So we did that. We went in, and everybody had Venmo but didn't know how to use it. Now I don't have Venmo, but I think I'm going to get it because it seems to be an easy way to pay. But here's the thing. I'm talking about paying other people. I run all my stuff through Square with the, you know, the doodly bobber. And even if you don't have the doodly bobber, you can punch the numbers in. It charges you a bigger fee. That's not the point. If you're a business, in my experience, allegedly, it gets hard to track all of those transactions. So when you're going to a craft show, you're going to be collecting taxes. You're a business, you're collecting taxes. I run them all through Square so that all of the transactions are there. Because if they're not there, you're going to have to go and track them all down. So however all these people paid you, you're going to have to track down how many people paid me on PayPal, how many transactions, how much tax did they do. Square, maybe some people paid you on Venmo, maybe some people paid you on Cash App. There was one gal I paid on Cash App the other day, which I'd never used, by the way. But so now you got to go to all these places and figure out how much money you actually made at the show. It's bad enough. Don't mess with my pens, Mr. Bunton. It's bad enough to have to like keep track of the cash and the Square and figure out the tax. You don't want to be doing it for 5 different Venmo, PayPal, blah, 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 blah. No. So I run all my stuff through Square when I'm at the craft show, or it's cash. So you can take cards and whatever, lottie-dottie. And some people get upset with that, but I'm just like, hey, I'm taking a card and I'm taking cash. I think as long as you take a card, whatever kind of card it is, and a cash, you should be fine. $130 is good for 3 days. I have paid $600 for 3 days. Bunton. Okay, he's got flippy tail, you see him? He's just like, who, me? Looking at the schedule? Are you upset with our scheduling? You can't have this one. This is my cool one. Beaded pen. Can't beat it. I have 2 of these. Peyote stitch. Can transfer it to a new pen when your other pen wears out. Sir Bunsen's being naughty. Look, he's trying to tear up the whole schedule book. As you can see, things are going back to normal over here. We have a big show here called the Tulip Festival, and it's 2 to 3 days, but it's $130, and that's just too much for me. I like the one-day ones for about $20, $25. I only use cash or card. When I was younger, I was good at talking to people. Bunsen, stop it. Yeah. I think as long as you can take a cash or a card, you're good. You don't have to take all these Venmo and Apple Pay and PayPal and all these things, because then you have to track down all of those transactions, and it makes more work for you in the end. When a lot of people will have a card, but they just prefer, maybe they prefer to pay with their Apple Pay, or they prefer to pay with their whatever. As long as you take cash and a card of some kind, I think you're good. I also only use a cash or card. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. Like, I take what I would use, right? So I use a cash or a card. I would accept those things. I don't usually use like a Venmo or a PayPal or something like that. So I don't really accept that. But like even on our website, so we're making the new website, and they're like, oh, they're like pushing PayPal, they're pushing like Apple Pay and all these things to pay for online transactions. And I'm like, that's great. But then I have to go and keep track of all of those accounts, because they're going to, as I told you guys before, PayPal sends them in as soon as they come in. Like, so they come in, you pay for your order, my website, right? When we're using PayPal, it comes in and then it goes into my PayPal account. It doesn't go to the bank. So then at the end of the day, the PayPal says, okay, we're going to send all those to your bank. And then they send them in individually. So now I got 25 to 45 transactions going through my bank account from that. And then my accountant, Kyle, is like, hey, we're going to have to bump you up to a higher fee for having all these transactions. Because I only get I pay him a set of transactions. He gets my bank stuff, and he's like, okay, there's 300 transactions. But if there's 800 transactions, then I have to pay double the money for him to do it, because he's got to go through all those transactions and put them in the books, in the bookkeeping. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. But that's the way that PayPal works. They won't lump sum it because they're individual transactions. So I can get them to send them in there once a week, but even when I send them in there once a week, they still send them in individually. And I have to manually transfer the money out of PayPal into my bank, which, FYI, PayPal, again, can hold your money whenever they want. They can just be like, well, no, we're not going to give you your money. I don't want that. So on my website, I accept a card, like a regular debit credit card, like whatever. If you have a prepaid card, whatever, that kind of thing. And Afterpay, but I don't necessarily want PayPal. And they keep messaging me and they're like, oh, you need to set this up. I got a firm. I applied for a firm. But I'm just like, no, I don't want that. And then they're like, what about Apple Pay? What about this? What about that? And I'm like, how about just a card? If you want to order from me, you can just like pay for it like how you normally would with a card. I understand that some of these places are doing that to safeguard your information. Because when you pay with PayPal, it doesn't give them your credit card number. It gives them basically a fake credit card number that's connected to your accounts, right? So even if they took that number, they could, maybe do a little damage with it, but they're only going to be able to spend what's in your PayPal account, not in your bank account. So it's kind of like a safeguard, right? Same with some of these other things. But nowadays, they're putting out these new debit cards that are doing that for you, because Jeff has one. So his is, like when he puts it in for a transaction online, it changes the number in the thing. Because I remember he was going to order pizza or something one day, and I was like, that's not what the card says. And he's like, oh yeah, it changes, so that gives them basically like a fake number so they can't steal the number. And that's from his bank. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, yes. And thank you, Melinda. The PayPal fees are ridiculous. Absolutely insane. It's like, first of all, you have to pay to get the money. If you're a business, you have to pay to accept the money. And a lot of times it's like, it can be, I've had people pay me on PayPal, or we've worked out situations where I've sold them like something expensive. Say it's like $300-400, and PayPal took like $20 to give me my money. Then they want to charge me to transfer the money into my bank account if I want it right away, right? Or I got to let it sit there for X amount of time, and then they'll transfer it in 1 to 3 days, which is usually fine. I don't care, whatever. But also, I don't want a bunch of money sitting in PayPal, because they could decide at any point not to give me my money. I don't like that. PayPal's never going to work with me. They're going to be like, Randy, we watched your YouTube channel. We're not going. $130 for a 3-day show is good. I usually pay around $180 to $200 for the multiple day shows. Yeah. And they have a fee for everything. They do. Fee to buy it, fee to transfer it, fee to whatever, la-di-da. That's why I don't want to put it on my website, because then you're just paying all these other like transaction people. Bunsen's throwing Post-its on the floor. Bunsen, why are you so cranky today? What's wrong? Big cranky pants? Sir Bunsen just woke up cranky pants. I don't know, Lily. What is this baby? But anyway, yeah. So there's so many things. I'm just like, okay, we're getting ready for craft show doings. I was going to sign up for a whole bunch of craft shows, and then I'm just like, I think I'm just going to maybe sign up for like maybe one a month, because we got all this other business going on, and until we get some help around here, I think I'm going to have to just chill. Her carrying this around is the cutest thing. Oh, she takes her baby everywhere. She takes them outside. Every time she goes outside, she takes her baby. I buy multiple babies at the Dollar Tree. These are from the Dollar Tree. Whenever they have them in stock, I buy about 10, because she'll get them all yuckity yuck and gross. and then because she like licks them and stuff, and like I can wash them, but sometimes she takes them outside and buries them in the mud and whatever, and then she wants to bring them in, and I'm just like, So we buy multiple babies at the Dollar Tree. Then every once in a while she gets a new one. But she takes her baby everywhere. Takes her baby in the car, takes her baby outside, takes her baby to bed, takes her baby for bath time. She loves it. I have 3 years of made jewelry to sell, but craft shows are intimidating for me. Well, at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff to think about, but I mean, that's why I just think I used to be really like kind of uptight about my shows. Me and Jeff were just talking about that yesterday. He was going on about his trauma from the earring rack. And I said, did you ever think that maybe your behaviors got you that trauma and not me? So I told Jeff, so I was like nervous, right? Because this was like some of my first shows that we were doing. And I was like, hey Jeff, can you set up the earring rack and then just put like 5 on the thing, 5 pairs of earrings, skip a row, because I didn't have that many earrings, right? Because I had those big racks. You guys have seen them. They hold like 200 pairs of earrings. I was like, skip a row and then just go on to the next row. And I was like, we're only going to put them on 3 sides because the other side will be facing the back, and I didn't have that many, right? So I was like, just put them on 3 sides and then just do like that. Just skip one as you go down. And he's like, okay. And then he starts putting them on there, and he's not doing it that way. And I'm like, hey, what's going on here? I was like, could you like skip one like this? And I show him, because I'm thinking like he doesn't know what I'm talking about. And he's like, I don't want to do it like that. And I'm like, he's like, it doesn't look good. And then he wants to fight with me. And I'm like, I don't care what you want. This is my show. You said you're going to help me. Help me. Don't be argumentative and trying to take over and do whatever you want. It's not your stuff. And he's like, oh. And then he said I got really mad at him and he was traumatized from the endeavor. But so anyway, yesterday I said, did it ever occur to you that maybe your behavior got you into this because you're not listening or respecting boundaries? He was like, no, I never thought of that. I was like, of course you didn't. But anyway, I used to get really like antsy and rigid because I was nervous about my shows, right? And I'd be like, no, do it like this, or set it up like that, but I needed help because I had all this stuff and I was probably kind of cranky, right? So since then, I have decided, my opinions allegedly, none of that matters. People, like, yeah, if you have a nice setup, that's great. But it's like, if you're just there having fun, like if you're there like doing fun, having a lovely time, talking to people, haha, whatever, and people are drawn to that. So they're going to care more about that than they are about whatever situation you have with your setup, I will say, if you are going, you should have a sign that says handmade items. I hand make these items. I like that. When I shop craft shows, and we go to shop a lot of craft shows, when I see signs that say I handmade this, I'm more likely to buy from that person than a person who's, you don't know if they handmade the items. You used to be able to assume they made the items, because they're at the craft show. Not anymore. Now people are like reselling things, and they're like ordering things from China or whatever they're doing. And they're the MLMs, the multi-level marketing people or whatever. And I'm like, okay, if I see a handmade maker, I'm more likely to buy from a handmade maker than an MLM. No, Bunsen. But the other part about it is that as long as they're having fun and you're being nice and you're having fun and you're advertising your business, that's all that matters. It's supposed to be fun. Now, Jefferson, to his credit, has been telling me this from the jump. He was like, Randy, this is supposed to be fun. And I'm just like, I was so stressed out and rigid about it that I couldn't be having fun in the early days. Now I realize he was correct because, even if you're like running a little behind and you don't got all your stuff set up yet or whatever, it's like, you'll get it set up And the people who come by at 3 o'clock are not going to know at 11 o'clock you weren't ready to go. And they're probably not going to care, because you always get those early bird people who always want to come start messing with you before you got all your stuff set up. And they're like, oh, I want to buy this. And I'm like, okay, the show opens in 2 hours. Or whatever, like in an hour. But then you don't want to like tell them no about the sale. So then you got to set up your stuff real quick. You're feeling all stressed out about that. It's the whole thing. But I think as long as you're like having fun and you do as much prep in the front end, like before you even get there, that's what made my life easy. Like getting the racks already set up and wrapped with the clear plastic, whatever stuff, wrap to keep them on the earring thing. So then all you got to do is take the rack, take the plastic off. They're already priced. They're already on there. They're already ready to go. I got my boards, same thing. Got all the necklaces on there. They're all priced. They're wrapped up. Put them in the trunk, stack them on top of each other, take them to the thing, prop them up on the table, unwrap them. They're ready to go. The more prep you can do in the front end and the easier you streamline your process, the easier it's going to be. Because I am a person who gets anxious and stressed in the morning, especially in the morning time. And I'm like, do I have my snacks? Do I have the cash box? Do I have this? Do I have that? Do I have my chair? Blah, blah, blah. But now I have a list. What, you two? WrestleMania? Are you doing WrestleMania with Buxton? Good, he needs his butt kicked today. Go. I do a few shows that do not allow selling prior to the start time. Oh, that's nice. I think it's mostly easy to see that they are handmade. I agree. I had a friend with a store, just took things to her to sell because it's so confusing and very involved, and I don't know how Randy and you all are doing it. Well, you can always start by going with a friend too. That's what I would do. If you've never been to a show and you want to go to a show, get a friend who also does crafting or whatever. They don't have to do the same kind of crafts as you, whatever. Maybe you have like a scrapbooking friend or something, and they're selling journals, and you are selling beads, and you guys can go in together on the price of the table or the show or whatever, and you can both run it. And then there's two of you, so you have some support. It's easier to set up. It's half the money, so you can like get the gist of the show and like whatever. Because I think after you do it, you're gonna be like, got it. I know what I'm doing. I know what I need to do. It's not really that bad. The scariest part for the show for me when I started was just getting there on time and getting set up on time, and then that was pretty much it. And of course, wanting to sell something, like, I hope something sells, or, but I used to get afraid of people wouldn't like my things. I guess that was the thing. And people will say stuff at the show. People will say stuff. They'll be like, why is this $30? You're like, well, let me explain it to you. Let me get out my book and talk to you about black onyx. Okay, so these beads are black onyx, and here's what they do. And I purchased these beads for X amount of money, and it took me 2 hours to put this necklace together. So here we are at our $30 price point. I just explain it to them. People have snappy questions. I just get right into the snappy questions. I say, they say, one guy said to me, who's gonna wear these pistol earrings? I meant earrings with little guns on them. And I was like, I'm a Miranda Lambert fan. Are you a Miranda Lambert fan? She has a tattoo on her back of these little pistols. And I was like, they're really cute, and all the girls are wearing them. Do you have any grandkids? But I used to be afraid that people would not like my stuff. But here's the thing. Your stuff is not for everybody. That's fine. You don't want your stuff to be for everybody, because if you were, that means that everybody would be wearing the same stuff, and that's not how we do it. Most of the time we're making jewelry, we're making accessories that are actually pretty personable. For me, they are memories. When me and Jeff go to these places and we buy stuff, like buy a little necklace or buy a ghost or whatever we buy, it's usually because I'll be like, oh, I got this at XYZ show that one time in 2023, and Jeff got me that little ghost with this lady, and she was so cute. There's like a story and the whole thing. So you have to think like your customer would think. Like, if somebody was selling this necklace at a show, they could absolutely sell this necklace to me. Could they sell it to somebody who's maybe not me? Maybe not. Maybe it's not for everybody, and that's okay. And you have to go in with that mindset, and plus, when people do buy your items, like say you buy this at a craft show, you want them to appreciate your items. You want them to wear them. You want them to, have a memory. Oh, I found this at the so-and-so craft show and talked to this girl from Thunderhorse Descendant, and she was telling me all about these beads. That's what you want. You don't want somebody to like mediocre like it and purchase it and then just throw it in a drawer somewhere, And so that's why you have to kind of go in and think like, okay, I'm advertising my business, and I'm talking to these people, and I'm these, my stuff isn't for everybody, but that's okay. It's going to be for the people who like it, will love it. And the people who don't like it, they'll just move on to something else, and that's fine. Because we're not there to sell to everyone. We're there to sell to the people who really like you. And then the people who really like you, they'll find you again. That's why you're advertising. You're giving them an email address. You're giving them a Facebook, a website. And then they're going to come, and they already love your stuff. They've already met you. They already seen you in person. They know what your stuff looks like. They love it. They purchased maybe something small. And then they come to the website and they say, oh, I'm going to get these, I bought these earrings and I want you to make me a necklace to go with them. Or they find a necklace on the website and they say, oh, this isn't a match. And they purchase that. And then they become a customer. I have done a practice setup at home. That helps. Yes, Gwen, that does help. We do that once a year. I really don't like it, but we do it. We do it. We did it last year. And smile. Yeah. I love it when one of my customer comes back wearing one of my items. Oh yes, that's always nice. If you go to shows, if you find a show you like, you go over and over. Eventually you'll run into somebody who's wearing some of your stuff. I always get afraid that I'm not going to recognize. Like, for the most part, I can recognize that it's my stuff, but I don't recognize the person. And I'm like, oh. Jeff's always in the back. That's Jamie. I'm like, hi, Jamie. Good morning, Donna. I didn't know you were still on. Yeah, I'm ranting today. Good morning, Yenny. I'm too shy to do this. I would know what to say, someone like that. I would end up in tears. Oh, yeah, well, if that's the case, just start crying. I've done that too. Why would you say something like that? I came out here and I paid my $200 to get into this show, and I worked so hard on all this stuff, and you're just going to come over here and just start telling me it's ugly? What do you have to say for yourself? That's what I would do. Just lean into it, Jenny. If you have to, just lean in, just start crying. We did a practice setup at home. People pull in a purchase. We had a great day. Well, that's lovely. Pulled in and purchased. Oh, at your practice setup, they were like, oh, these people are having a show. That's what I need to do. Set one up in the front yard. Yeah, just lean in. Sometimes you gotta lean in. Sometimes people are just difficult and problematic, and if they're saying nasty things to you, why not? I told this lady, this happened. I told this lady in the post office yesterday, because she was being snotty. I've been telling myself, but I did it. I don't care. I went to the post office with my packages. My packages, as you guys know, already have the labels. Shannon has made them perfect. I'm standing there with my box. All I have to do is put this box, give the box to John. John's our guy, John. Give the box to John. John gives me an empty box. We've already printed out a sheet that tells him everything that's on there. He's got to scan it. We're done. I don't even have to be there when he scans it. I just got to get my box. this lady come into the post office, and we were standing in line, and there's a whole bunch of people. So I'm standing there and waiting, and she gets up there, and then she says, "Oh, I forgot my wallet in the car. I'm gonna run to the car." So she leaves all her stuff, and she ran to the car, and she wasn't running quickly. She was talking to some guy outside the door. And then, so anyway, this other lady went, and the lady after her, and whatever, and I get up there, and I'm standing there, and here she comes back, and she's telling everybody in the post office how they're going to act. She comes in, and she's like, "Oh, I was already here." She's pushing through the line. "I was already here. I forgot my wallet in the car. I need to get up here and get my things and get my whatever going on, and this and that, and you can go after me, but I'm going to go first." That's what she said. Well, I hadn't eaten. My blood sugar was slightly low. I was standing there, and she comes up to me and she says, "Oh, I'm just gonna cut in front of you. I was already here. I forgot my wallet in the car." And I said, "That sounds like a you problem." And she looked at me like she was shocked that somebody had said something to her. And she was like, "What?" And she's like, "No, I was already here." And I said, "Yeah, and now you're not. You were not prepared. You left your money in the car. That sounds like a you problem. I'm going to drop off my packages. I've been standing in the line." And John just gets antsy because he's one of these little Midwestern guys who just doesn't like confrontation. And he's like, "Oh yeah, it just takes her a minute. She's just got to drop her box off and get a new box. Literally 2 seconds. That's what it takes me." And she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess you can go ahead of me then. And then I'll go after you." Again, trying to control the situation by letting everybody else know behind me that I was going to go and then she's going to go. And I'm just like, "You do what you want. I'm going to drop off my packages. No, do not come in here with all your craziness because you were not prepared for the post office. There's 14 people in this line. No, sounds like a you problem. Sorry." But like I said, I was hungry. Normally I'd be like, "Whatever, lady, I don't have anything to do. It's fine. Do whatever you gotta do." Not that day. I was just like, I am hungry and tired, and I've been standing in this line, and I don't care. Come in here, tell me what to do. Whatever, lady. Oh, no, she didn't. John just always gets so cute. John has a crush on Shannon. I don't say anything about it. I just say, "Oh." He's always flirty pants. You go, girl. Yeah, I'm just like, "Oh, that sounds like a you problem." But yeah, people will say things, but I'm just like, if you have the audacity to come in here and say some stuff like that, like tell everybody else what they're doing because you're not prepared for your day, that's not happening over here. Not today, lady. Not today. I gotta have a sandwich, go home, do 18 invoices. So I don't have time for your wallet excursions and talking to whoever outside the door for 8 minutes. No. Anyway, so yeah, you kind of got to get a thicker skin when you deal with the public, especially when they're going to say things. Oh, but the worst thing that ever happened to me at a craft show is I had this little lady steal something from me on purpose. And she was an elderly lady. She wasn't nuts. She was just an elderly lady. Her and her husband. Her husband was causing havoc with me. He was the scene diverter. He was like, "Oh, blah, 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 something." He said, "Did you really make all of this? It looks like you just ordered this from China and then stuck it on a different thing." And then in the interim, the little lady was stuffing things in her purse. Yeah, they were like 60-ish, older, 60 or older. And I'm standing there talking to this guy, and Jeff comes over to me and he goes, "This lady over here is stuffing shit in her purse." In front of the guy, her husband. He knows her husband. He goes, "She's stuffing shit in her purse." And I was like, "Oh." So I said, "Excuse me." And then one lady, an elderly lady, I think she misunderstood. There was another lady. She misunderstood. I was doing like a free gift with purchase. And I had a little box and it said free gift with purchase, right? Well, she didn't make any purchases. But she grabbed up one of the free gifts and she's just walking away. So I'm thinking, maybe she just thought it was free? Why would she think that you just get free things? I don't know. So I was like, I'm just not going to say anything to her because she was just, I'm just like, I think maybe she misunderstood. She obviously needs it more than me. But I'm just like, what is happening? So those were weird situations that happened. Maybe that'll work at the Bead store with my husband. Yeah, I'm just like, Jeff don't care. He's just like, hey, this lady's over here shoving shit in her purse. I'm like, what? Okay. And I'm like, you want me to deal with this? So that's the thing. That was the thing. But yeah, other than that, those are just like, it's just like, you know, people are gonna say things there, but I'm just like, whatever, man, it's fine. You don't like it, that's fine. Just keep it on, man. But don't be rude. You know, that's my thing. When people get rude, I'm like, oh, okay. It's kind of like when people get rude on like my YouTube or something, and they'll say, like, when they'll make comments, and I'll be like, oh. They'll be like, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen, or your nails are horrible, or, you know, whatever. And I'm like hate online. And I'm like, okay, let's go over to your YouTube channel and let's see what kind of tutorials you have going on. Oh, you don't have any tutorials? Interesting. What about your Etsy shop? Let's go to your Etsy shop and see what kind of jewelry designs you're making. Oh, you don't put your stuff in an Etsy shop? Okay, let's go to the Facebook. Are you sharing it on Facebook? No, because you're scared? Oh, of judgment? Interesting. Just wondering. Because I'm just like, why? Why would you be saying things like that to people? That's inappropriate. Like, if people don't like it and they just move on, they're just like, oh, whatever, this is not really my cup of tea. I'm like, great, that's fine. But when they start being crappy, I'm like, let's lean in here. Let's see what that's really about. So really, what it's really about is that you're upset because you're not brave enough to be judged by your peers. You're not doing it because you're scared. You're not doing it because you're not good enough. You don't have the right kind of personality. No one likes you, probably because you're mean. That would be my guess. Nobody wants to buy from a mean person. Like, oh. But so instead of dealing with that with yourself, you're just going to run around on the internet and say nasty things to people you don't even know? Not today. That's me. Not today. No. I just say, oh, I'm sorry you're so unhappy. Yeah. All these poor people with their no creativity having asses. That's what I say. I come out spending $50 to $70 already. Yeah. Anyways, you guys, I'm kind of in a mood this morning. I don't know if you noticed. I better have some breakfast. I was gonna make this set, and then I realized that I put the wrong name of the project in the YouTube video, because I already made this one. I was gonna make this one, and then I wrote it down wrong when I made it. When I made this plan, I wrote it down wrong. So I don't know if that was just in my head or what. But anyway, I will probably just make this tomorrow. It'll be fine. It's gonna be a little set. Mickey just says, I'm loving this. Well, like, I don't like it when people get, like, when they get, like, even if they're, like, kind of passive aggressive, I'm like, okay, fine. But when they get, like, outrightly, like, hey, like, being aggressive about it, like, being like, I'm going to say something that's, like, deliberately meant to hurt your feelings or try to shame you or make you feel bad. I'm like, oh, not today, John. Let's talk about it. I had someone tell me I was too fast for beginners. I asked what they meant. How could I improve? Got no answer back, of course. It's okay, Rosanna. Maybe you're just not for beginners, because if you make it really slow for beginners, the intermediate and advanced people are going to get bored with your videos and tell you that you're moving too slow, and they already know this. So you can't please everybody. You could do a playlist of some of the skills you use all the time, you know, like making the loop or making the this or the that or whatever. And you could say, beginner skills playlist or whatever. And then when you're making the video, you could say, when you're just going along as you normally would, you could just say, oh, and if you're unaware how to make this link or how to make this skill, I refer you to our skills blah blah video, and I'll put a link in the description of the video, the link to that video, and then you can watch that. I know. I don't know why everybody thinks everybody on the internet is perfect, or like they should be perfect, or even just in life. Like they're like, oh, you should be perfect because you're at the post office, or you should be perfect because you're on the internet, or whatever. I'm just like, just be nice. I'm not asking for perfect. Just nice. Just be decent. You don't even have to be nice. Just be decent. Just decent is good enough. Yeah. Well, I say that about the people who say things about the video, because it's like, making videos is hard, especially when you're starting out at it or whatever, because first of all, it's different right now because this is a live video, talking to you. You guys are interacting with me. When you're not here, it's just me talking to myself. Which is, you would think is fine. You're like, it's fine, Randy, but everybody talks to themselves, but it's like, do you do step-by-step tutorials with yourself when you're just by yourself? No. It's weird. Also, the other thing is making sure you stay in the camera. Making sure the camera is, focused correctly. That is, you gotta make sure it's focused. Meanwhile, you're still doing your whole project and moving around, and as you move around, the camera's gonna go out of focus. You gotta make sure you stay in the frame, because you can't be over here, because then they'll say, oh, I can't see it. You gotta make sure you're right here. Make sure the lights are correct. Make sure there's no noises going on in your house, and then make sure you push the record button, unlike me yesterday, who didn't do that, and now we got half a video. Stuff. All that stuff. Gotta do all that. And then you put it up, and then you gotta write the description, you gotta upload it, you gotta snip it together, do all these things. That takes a million years. Edit it, get it all put together. Once you get it all put together, then you gotta put it into YouTube, upload it into YouTube, then you gotta make a thumbnail, you do all that, then you gotta make a description, you do all that, then you put it up, and then within 3 seconds of you putting it up, someone comes along and thumbs down and makes a stupid comment. I have a guy who does that. Every time. Every time. 3 minutes is 3 seconds it's been up there. I get the little notification on my phone, ding, Thunderhorse Descendant just put up a new video. And then I get, and then thumbs down. I'm like, you didn't even watch it. You just don't like me. By myself, I just whip things out. On a video, I have to talk through it. It takes so long. Yeah, that's true. That's why sometimes I'm not in a videoing mood, because I'm like, I just want to get this stuff done. I don't want to sit and be like, blah, 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 because it takes so much more time. Like, normally I could, like, do, like, I don't know, probably, like, a few, say I made some beaded necklaces, like some strong ones. I could probably do, like, in an hour, 2 strung necklaces, maybe 3, depending on if I want to get really snazzy with my pattern or whatever, in an hour. But if I do it on video, it seems like once you get all the little things you got to get together, it takes like over an hour, and you're just like, what is happening? And then you can't listen to your book because you got to have it on silent, because it'll get tagged up by the YouTube people. Seriously? Wow. Yeah. These are just I only tell you, my friends, and the internet about how I feel about that. But anyway, I hope you all are having a lovely, spectacular, amazing day. I'm going to have a lovely day. Today is Tuesday, and I got to work on taxes. Some more. You do a fantastic job on your videos. I love listening to your voices, a stress reliever. Everybody loves to listen to Rosanna's voice. What's sneezing? I wanted to talk about craft shows. I wanted to talk about how to handle people who are being rude. I want to talk about, what else did I talk about today? How to find craft shows. All the things and stuff. But I gotta get off here and I gotta have a, breakfast before I get cranky. Before I start these taxes, I gotta have breakfast. And Mr. Benson's just chilling on the table. I don't know what he's doing. But anyways, I hope you guys found some snippet of help in all of this ranting that I've done today. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do beading. Today we do ranting. Tomorrow beading. Twice, because I got a live tomorrow. Yeah. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful, spectacular, amazing beading day. I would love to see what you're baking in the group, in the Facebook group. I will not be doing any beading today, so I will live vicariously through you guys, because I will just have to do paper today. Maybe that's why I'm snappy. Taxes, yucky. I know, right? Sad. All right, y'all. I hope you have a lovely, spectacular, amazing beading day, and I will see you tomorrow for beading on the morning coffee. Bye, guys.